Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Aim to be a Pokemon Master Episode 4, Beartic Sighs. This was the 1225th episode of the Pokemon anime, I guess technically the 140th episode of Pokemon Journeys, and honestly, I thought this was the best episode of this miniseries so far. And Green Tornado agrees with me, which just goes to show how intelligent my channel members are. Alright, on to the episode. So the episode opens with Ash telling a story about getting attacked by a Gyarados, which honestly has happened way more times than I can remember. Anyways, these three have come to a snowy area to see something special, a Magikarp climbing a waterfall. Ash sends out Oshawott, who's excited to see the Magikarp, and Misty is just excited to see Oshawott. No one is excited to see that the waterfall has gotten completely frozen over. Well, I guess that's the episode over, huh? Pikachu and Oshawott aren't going to take this easily. They try to break through the ice, but to no avail. Watching on from behind a nearby rock, there's a Beartic, who is going to end up being pretty important in this episode. Oshawott ends up slipping on the ice, which sends his Scalchop flying about a mile away, but thankfully someone was there to find the Scalchop and return it to Oshawott. Yeah, not Pikachu, but actually the mighty and ferocious Beartic. Okay, maybe not ferocious, since Beartic gets easily scared by the sight of Ash excitedly running towards it. Without even trying to, Beartic's breath freezes everything it touches, completely immobilizing everyone's legs. Embarrassed, Beartic runs away. I mean, you can see just how sad it got by looking into its eyes, and Ash picked up on this detail as well. After a kind of overdramatic scene of him throwing the Pokeball into the air, Talonflame is there to help thaw everyone out. Ash sends his Pokemon up ahead to chase after Beartic. He wants to meet up with it again. After explaining his plan to his friends, Ash sends out his other two Pokemon for this episode and has Snorlax use Mega Punch to clear out some ice, and Incineroar uses Darkest Lariat to do the same thing. I'm gonna guess it learned that move training with Professor Kukui's Incineroar. Brock and Misty send out some reinforcements of their own to help rapidly spin everyone towards their goal, but when they finally catch up with their scouts, they find them completely frozen in midair. They're not the only ones either, as some nearby forest Pokemon have also gotten frozen thanks to Beartic. Fortunately, Incineroar is easily able to unthaw everyone by sending a Fire Blast skywards, and it looks like the culprit is still nearby. Starmie, Snorlax, and Forretress all get recalled at this point. Their appearances in this episode were just small cameos. Beartic has finally stopped running away, so Ash has time to talk with it. He's pretty complimentary, even comparing Beartic's ice powers to that of Kyurem, so does that make the 15th and or 18th movie canon, since those were the only times Ash has ever even seen Kyurem? Regardless, Ash offers to train with Beartic so that it can have better control over its icy powers, and yeah, we're going straight to the Ash Ketchum school of Pokemon training, folks. The old focus your energy in one part of your body and whoosh, bam! Yeah, works every time, and Beartic is impressed. Beartic tries to emulate Ash and Pikachu's technique, and at first things are looking great, but then right before it's about to unleash its energy, something goes haywire, and Beartic just froze everyone again. Ash keeps on motivating it though, and then Oshawott comes up with an idea of his own, having Beartic try to create a Scalchop made out of ice. Once again, things are looking good at the start, but then and yeah, good thing Ash's fire types are here. Ash continues to motivate and encourage Beartic, and so they try again, and when this attempt fails, Beartic's ice is so strong that it even freezes Incineroar and Talonflame. This failure is too much for Beartic to take, so it runs into the middle of a nearby pond and just starts shooting Icy Wind or Ice Beam or something into the sky, and Ash is immediately there to try and console it, but yeah, this doesn't look so good, guys. Honestly, I'm not buying for a second that a chasm this big could even realistically be close to possible, but on the plus side, it looks like Beartic saved Ash from getting hurt. Well, not quite, since as soon as Ash tries to put weight on his left leg, looks like he may have twisted an ankle. Happens to the best of us. Ash tells Beartic to take Pikachu and Oshawott and climb out of the chasm, but Beartic's not leaving without Ash, so he grabs a hold of Beartic and the climb is on. Meanwhile, Ash's friends don't really know what they can do to help, and can you believe it, Beartic loses its grip and starts to fall, which causes it to instinctively shoot out some ice and perfectly creates a platform for it to land on. That was just the breakthrough that Beartic needed, and now it's able to create more and more platforms to help itself climb out. And again, seriously, there is no way this pond was over 100 feet deep. I just don't believe how big of a frozen crevice they fell into. Anyways, Doc Brock is on the scene to start treating Ash's leg as soon as they're back to the surface, while meanwhile Pikachu goes to investigate the nearby forest Pokemon who are still a little scared of Beartic. Oshawott is like, hey, why don't you try making another ice Scalchop? And yep, Beartic succeeds this time. It proudly places the Scalchop on its chest, just like how Oshawott proudly wears his Scalchop. The forest Pokemon are still kind of like, I don't know about this, but then one very brave Bellsprout jumps out and asks for its own ice Scalchop, and look at how proud they all are of the Scalchops they're wearing. Oh, and here we go. Now all the others are excited to join in. Looks like everyone lived happily ever after, and oh yeah, of course Latias was watching this, and the episode ends with a scene of Beartic and his friends watching some Magikarp climbing the waterfall. Well, that kind of felt like an abrupt end to the episode. I mean, I didn't expect Ash to catch Beartic, but we didn't even get a scene of them saying their goodbyes or anything, which was a little disappointing. And I have no doubt that a lot of people are probably going to be disappointed that Ash did not catch this Beartic. I mean, this had all the makings of a classic capture episode, but nope. Like I said, I did not expect Ash to catch Beartic. I think the only Pokemon we're seeing Ash catch between now and the end of the series is Latias, but we're gonna have to keep on waiting for that one. And honestly, I think this episode really made me see things more clearly, like about the series as a whole. Aim to be a Pokemon Master is not this big epic conclusion to Ash's adventure. It's not the be-all end-all legendary climax that fans can only dream of. It's just a preview of what the rest of Ash's life is going to be like. Sure, sometimes he'll have crazy adventures. Ash has a habit of getting wrapped up in some crazy shenanigans all the time, but when that's not happening, Ash just wants to travel around and make friends with Pokemon. I mean, they literally told us that in the first episode. So, I don't know, it feels a lot more freeing to me watching the series knowing not to expect anything crazy to happen, like we're just going to be seeing a fully formed Ash continue to work his way towards his dream, becoming a Pokemon Master. That means being able to connect with any Pokemon, and sight unseen being able to help them out. He may face conflict, but he's experienced enough to overcome almost any obstacle. By now, he's able to effectively understand and communicate with Pokemon. I remember when this kid used to go around asking people for tips on how to raise Pokemon. Now he's able to take a shy, timid, wild Beartic and turn it into a benevolent Ice Master in the space of like an hour. And that's what Ash's road to becoming a Pokemon Master looks like. It doesn't have to be anything insane, it doesn't have to be filled with epic battles at every turn, it's just Ash living alongside Pokemon all over the world, and I think this episode was the perfect example of that. I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10 rating. That makes it my highest rated episode of the 4 we've seen so far, and that's mainly because it just made me feel good watching it. Like, there may not have been a lot of suspense or twists and turns along the way. Okay, except for maybe Ash's ankle, but this episode just told a nice, simple story. I'm not going to go overboard and say it was the most heartwarming thing ever and really sing its praises, but it did the job. There were a couple of criticisms I had, and they basically all relate to my issues with this miniseries in general. Let's talk about the supporting cast for this episode. These guys weren't very important in the grand scheme of things, so they just keep things super basic with them. This includes things like Misty having to freak out about every water-type Pokemon she sees. I mean, that's such an oversimplification of her character, but I guess that's the norm for how they handle character returns nowadays. Another example of the anime not really caring about the small details would be Brock's Forretress not being in its fastball. I don't even think this is the first time they've done that, but I just really question why they don't bother to include those small details in the show. Like, is it an honest mistake, or are they just being lazy and giving us all this old school nostalgia-driven fan service just for the sake of it? I'm leaning towards the latter, which is pretty disappointing. It doesn't ruin the show for me or anything like that, but this is supposed to be Ash's big send-off, something special for longtime fans of the show. But longtime fans are gonna notice these flaws, and I know a lot of people don't necessarily like this series, but there are a lot of reasons for that, most of which I don't agree with, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Okay, that was a pretty thorough discussion for an episode that honestly didn't have much going on. I did appreciate the slow pace though, don't get me wrong. The next episode does look a little more eye-catching though, especially since Ash is bringing all of his Kanto starters back together for the first time in a while. Once again, don't expect anything big to happen. These episodes are kind of slice of life, if anything. I'm sure I'm not using that term totally correctly, but honestly, I don't care. It makes sense to me, alright? That's really all I've got this week. Thanks as always for watching. These reviews aren't really getting a ton of views, so every like helps. Go ahead and smash that like button, guys. Oh man, I'm really tired. Let's just end this thing so I can go to bed. I'll see you guys next time.